Hi everyone, welcome back to the Maz channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yesterday, as promised in a previous video, I went on my ghost hunt to a place called Dieu Priory, an old set of ruins of a nunnery which is situated in the village of Belton in Leicestershire. I took my crystals with me, I took my various ghost hunting phone apps to try them out. If you want to know more about those, please see my previous video to see how well they worked and if we could spot anything. If you're interested, join me in a tour of the ruins, my ghost hunt in looking for all things paranormal. Okay, so here we are near the entrance to Dieu Priory. That's where we brought you today. One of the local pubs actually lets people park in their car park on a regular basis to go and visit the Priory. There's actually a walk now, a bit of a walk to it, which involves going under some railway arches and viaducts and things, so it sounds quite an interesting walk. So we'll take you along with us. We'll get the apps out when we get there and see if we can pick anything up. Spooky. We're heading into the woods now. There's a railway arch here. It's a left turn here. So this must be, I don't know if this is a nun to represent the nuns that were staying in the priory. So this is the field, I think, behind the back of the priory grounds, and apparently old farm workers have been seen on here, as well as a drummer boy, by a paranormal ghost hunting group. Dieu Priory sits in the Leicestershire countryside in the village of Belton. It dates back to Roman times and between 1235 and 1241 served as a house for 16 Augustinian nuns, as well as a hospital for 12 of the area's poor. Originally, the chapel was owned by Nicholas de Verdun, and his daughter, Rose, was buried in the priory's chapel. The priory had its own home farm with many workers, and produce was sold, the proceeds of which kept the priory going. In the 1500s, the king's visitors of religious houses conducted a valuation on the priory and deemed that it should be granted a lower income, which sadly led to its dissolution in 1538. In 1539, the well-to-do Beaumont family took over the ownership, and this passed through several generations during the reign of Queen Mary. It was later sold to Ambrose Phillips in the 1600s. The site is extremely popular with paranormal groups. Orbs, ectoplasm and strange mists have all been seen here. Blasts of warm air have also been felt, and even the apparition of a full-on banquet has been witnessed. A drummer boy, farm workers and an old man have all been seen in the field behind the priory.
So join me as I investigate this very ancient and very haunted place. Okay, so I've got one of two apps here. This is Ghost Radar Classic. That's interesting. I stopped filming at this point because an ad popped up on my phone screen, but I thought it was interesting that the word common came up as soon as I set foot on the grounds. Of course, to the aristocracy who once lived here, I would have been seen as a commoner. Did you used to cook here? It's like a real old inglenook fireplace. I don't seem to be getting much activity now. So I'm just going to fire up the other app and see what happens there. So this app is called Ghost Detector and it works off the camera apparently, so it does show pictures. Doesn't seem to be doing anything other than showing me like a video camera view through the phone. So let's just keep it on and we'll go through here, through this little archway, see if we can pick anything up from here. This is like one of the most intact parts of it. There's little holes in here. Okay, I'm going to go back to the other app now because I was having more joy with that. Is there anyone here? Oops. Bear. Okay. Where the stones have fallen, that's quite disconcerting. There's actually some modern brickwork there, so it's obviously been patched up. What does this say? Is there someone called Betsy here then? That's weird. But you see, there could be any number of names crop up because there used to be a farm attached to this nunnery which produced produce that they would sell to keep the place afloat. And obviously it wasn't a wealthy priory and that's why it was dissolved in the 1500s. It lasted for nearly 300 years. Religious house for nuns in the mid-13th century by Rosier de Verdun. So it'd be quite cool if her name came up on here. Who's Betsy? Did you work on the farm? Or were you one of the nuns here? The sun is starting to set now. It's picking something up again. Jim? Who's Jim? Are you a couple? Are you friends? Angle. So I'm at the wrong angle to see you, am I? What did you do here? There's a funny little click over there then. Just going to walk towards Greece. So do you have associations with Greece? That's interesting. I'll have to look if there's anything to do with Greece. Goose. Now that is interesting because there was a farm on here. So did you take care of the geese? Or is there a ghost goose?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. There's a lot of activity around here. It's strange how you don't pick anything up in some areas. Maybe this is where the geese pen was or something. Maybe this is where the geese were kept. Is that right? What door was this for? What room was this? Did you work on the farm? So we're not getting any more answers at the moment. Fellow. Yep. Yeah, that's my dad. Yeah, I think we're going to end this session now, so we're going to go now. Thank you for talking to us. I'm going now. Ah, there's a fellow coming along here, so that's interesting. Okay, so we're going to head back now along this path. So they're the stepping stones, that's the only way in, and my feet are now freezing. America. That's interesting. I was picking up something in front of me, whether it's just picking up my dad, I'm not sure. So we'll see if there's any links with America and Greece. Myself. So you're American? Or that's you that I'm picking up? No, I'm alright, Dad. Main road's over there. Knowledge. So, what's your name? Did you work at the Priory? We're heading back through the woods now. It's getting dark. Thank you, Dad. Absolutely shattered. I hope you enjoyed that little tour around Dieu Priory. I will be doing the lowdown when I get home, but now we're going to head home. Okay, so it's the next day now. I was far too tired last night to film anymore, but I just thought I'd go through some of the things that came up on the app. Not sure what to think of it really. I thought it was interesting that as soon as I showed up there, the word common appeared. Because to the Beaumont family who owned it, for example, I would be considered a commoner. What was also strange is that the name Betty came up, and Elizabeth was the name of the second wife of John Beaumont, who was one of the former owners of the Priory, and on his death she inherited it and became the owner herself. And obviously Betsy is quite an old-fashioned contraction of the name Elizabeth.
so it figures that that would have been used of the time, and I did find that quite weird. There were actually two Elizabeths. There was another one who was her grandchild named after her, so could have referred to either one of those. What I also found interesting was the name Jim came up after the name Betty. Well, there were two dots on the app which showed that there were two entities present, so it kind of felt as if they were hanging around together. Now, there were no Jameses as I could see in the history of the Priory, but who knows, maybe he was a worker. And Goose came up, which is strange given that there was a home farm on the site which produced produce, and in big old houses and monasteries I can just imagine them eating goose in days of old. I couldn't find any links to Greece or America because obviously Greece and American came up on the app. It's also interesting, at the end of the visit when I was walking along the path at the back of the Priory and American came up, and I asked, "Are you American?" and then I said, perhaps the app is just picking up my dad's presence who was walking in front of me, and then it said myself, as if to confirm that it was actually the entity that was being picked up perhaps on the app. But yeah, I do think the timing was quite strange. Also, what was strange was when the app said fellow, just as a man was walking across the field. And again, fellow is quite an old-fashioned name for a man. So yeah, I mean, it's word association, isn't it? It's all very subjective, and you could argue that you could associate any word with anything and make it relevant if you really wanted to. Maybe it's just the brain looking for patterns, as it does. So let me know what you think about it. And if you've had any experiences with ghost apps, I'd love to hear about them, so do put them down below. Also, the other experience I had was when the camera was switched off, and at the end of the visit I did have a sit down and just glanced up and looked across at the large chimney stack, the one with the fireplace which I showed you, and I'm sure I saw a figure dart behind that. It was around 50 to 60% opacity. It moved very quickly. It had like a bluey grey colour to it, which looked like a robe rather than a dress. It didn't hang out enough to be a dress. And that, funnily enough, matches descriptions of other apparitions that have been seen in the area, but usually they've been seen nearer to the road, whereas this was actually within the ruins. And I did not read about that description of apparitions before I visited the site. So who knows, I'll leave it up to you to decide. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel, and keep your eye out for my further Halloween and ordinary videos. And thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.